I first met Andrea Molino about 10 years ago. I really wanted to do this wonderful piece by Heine Goebbels called Surrogate Cities. And, you need a fantastic conductor to do that, and there aren't many people in the world who have the ability to do it. And so I knew about Andrea Molino. And so we called him, and he was available, and he came to Brisbane. And so I watched him taking the rehearsals and conducting, and I thought, gee, this is someone who's very, very special. And so I invited him to come back the next year and do a piece of his called Credo. And then again, when I was at the Brisbane Festival, we collaborated on Winners, which was this extraordinary multimedia piece with different ensembles coming in from all over the world on screens in the Queensland Performing Arts Centre.
In 2011, I debuted for Opera Australia, once more invited by Lyndon Terracini, and this was the opera repertoire. So I did Macbeth by Verdi, I did an opera by Carlisle Floyd, an American composer, and then the Ballo in Maschera with La Fura del Sbaus, then Turco in Italia, Rossini, so different composers, and this year the double pack with the Tosca in Melbourne and with the Bohème in Sydney. So what's happening here is a long story between me and Australia, between me and Lyndon Terracini.
I recalled a film I'd seen many years ago by Rossellini called Rome, Open City, which was filmed in Rome on location just after the Second World War. And the story is almost the same as the story of Tosca. So I thought I'd like to look at that period. And the more I researched it, the more it seemed to fit the concept of Tosca.
Lui ha spostato la narrazione nel periodo dell'occupazione nazista durante la Seconda Guerra Mondiale. La drammaturgia di Puccini è rimasta sostanzialmente identica, con appunto il vantaggio di avere una situazione più conosciuta da parte del pubblico. E quindi anche dal punto di vista musicale non mi ha creato assolutamente nessun problema e penso che possa essere attraente per il pubblico.
He's a creator, of course. He's a musician, composer as well. So he's not just someone who interprets. He's a creative person. And in that sense, we've got on extremely well.
John, Roger, yeah, I like to try the opening of the door because it was... Apri, yeah. Apri, and then I wait until it's open before to start. So what I need is basically, as soon as you say Apri, immediately... How does it work?
Yeah, try one more time.
Balance?
Some conductors, they don't look at the stage, they watch the score the whole time, they're conducting in the pit, they don't really know what's happening on the stage or pay much attention to it. And that's frustrating to work with. Andrea, on the other hand, is very visual, and he's got an extraordinary imagination and creative urge, and he understands the importance of the visual and the sound, the music, all working together. So it's a totality. And I think that's why he's such a good conductor for opera, because he understands the composer's intention.
The way I address, as a conductor, the Puccini operas or the other operas that I did is deeply interdisciplinary. That's probably why I enjoy opera so much, because it's everything. It's the music, but it's the singing, it's the acting, it's the moving, it's the costumes, it's the structure of the stage, it's the reality of the stage. And it's held together. They're not separate for me. is about letting things work together, because those people, they are actors on stage as well as singers. And this is very important for me, not only to respect, but to work on that musically. The envisioning part, the visualization part of the thing, also the acoustic visualization of the thing, is extremely important. So when you start working just with the piano and the singers, with no costume, no nothing, no production, you start putting the things together. But for example, when I start working with the singers, we take musical decisions, but many of them we can only take together with the director.
Okay, let's go from the killing. It's your guy.
In una produzione si usava il coltello dove la lama rientra. In quel momento la lama non è rientrata, no? Ma Tosca ormai era in preda al delirio, quindi ha incominciato a infilzarmi. Io gridavo, ma gridavo davvero.
We had, as I mentioned, great singers with Martina Serafin, who's one of the greatest Toscas in the world now, Claudio Sgura, marvellous Scarpia, and a tremendous young Mexican tenor, Diego Torre, who sings absolutely magnificently as Cavaradossi.
He's a force of nature. He's a natural. His voice is one of the most glorious spinto tenor voices I've ever heard in my life. He's a very good worker. He's a fantastic colleague. He's very available in the rehearsal process. He's a dream. He's just a dream of a colleague.
You take some time to get into it. So ti da ti ra ra ri ya pi pa pa pi pa pi pa pi pa pim, and we are lazy there. 14. Yes.
He did a fantastic job, and with the orchestra too. They were tremendously impressed by his extraordinary ability as a conductor, and I knew him as a composer as well. And there are very, very few composers who actually have that technical ability as a conductor.
I like to find a way of letting them be comfortable in doing what they are doing. Of course, the responsibility of the artistical direction of what we're doing is mine, and to a certain extent I'm not ready to compromise. But again, it's about working together and creating a result which is more than the sum of the different people which are working together. And I like this. I really like this. And I try to communicate this also in my way of rehearsing. And I notice that the orchestra reacts well in understanding that there's the amount of flexibility and the human flexibility in putting together the piece is there.
ones from 22. Senti l'ore vicina once. Senti l'ore vicina.
I didn't have any particular contact in Australia, except that my daughter was in Australia. And so the fact of being able to come and perform in Australia would also have meant the possibility of seeing my daughter more than I was able to. So Australia has become a very important part of my professional life, and also a very important part of my emotional life.
Start with it, jump from the very first. They're kind of shy. It's the rhythm is there. Just take it. Winds, clarinet, bassoons, and then the horns. Not too staccato. The quaver. It's not ti pa pa pa. It's kind of pointy. The 4/5, the figure of the phrase of the second violin was much better, but still I have the feeling it's kind of staying there. Let it flow, although it's very slow. Slow down. I take that.
He then has one of the engagements that conductors all over the world want to conduct La Bohème on New Year's Eve at the Sydney Opera House.
First, Danny Quaver is still a bit lazy. Let's start having fun. 10-8.
I think I was 25 or even younger, and I started my 4 years in the German opera world. I worked into this kind of pieces for basically every day, and I conducted them. The possibility of working on those two pieces here in Sydney and in Melbourne with this level, with this kind of company, and with this exposure, public exposure, is of course for me a premiere, and I deeply enjoyed that. What happened on stage last night was special. The singers were great, the orchestra reacted very well, the audience were extremely responsive. I think was probably one of the best performances of my life.
has got, what great musicians have, an instinctive feel for how a piece is supposed to go. He just has that instinct of knowing how to play it, where the important moments are, where the big moments are, where to bring out the subtleties of the text. He has a wonderful understanding of singers and how they sing, what they do, where they need help, where they need to be supported, and he connects very well with singers on the stage and reacts very, very quickly to their needs.
Of course, when I go and work with singers, I have very clear ideas. Not one tenor is equal to the other tenor, not one soprano to the other soprano. So it doesn't make sense that I ask to one singer to do what I have in mind from another singer or from my imagination. If the voice of the singer that I have to work with or that I want to work with is not suited for that. For me, it's crucial to find the right point between what I believe that musically is important for the piece and the fact that those people, they have to be on stage. They are on stage, not me. They are on stage. And they have to move on stage and they have to develop their physicality on stage. So they have to find their way of feeling comfortable, which doesn't necessarily mean to feel relaxed, but to sing those notes with those movements is something extremely complex. And I think it's a part of my job to not only to respect it, but to create the environment so that they can deliver their performance in the most effective way. They are very different. They are very different musically, theatrically, and from the point of view of composition. Tosca is somehow more intellectual. I have to get intellectually into Tosca to get where I want, and I think I succeeded. But with Bohème, I feel natural. I don't have to think. I just let it go, and it works. And this is a fantastic feeling.
Just go through like a machine.
There's no difference. The music and the images and what is being created in the moment are all really connected. And that's what happens when you're in the theatre, when Andrea is conducting an opera. It's not about conducting notes, it's about embracing the entire performance and everyone who's in that performance. The audience, whether they wanted to or not, couldn't escape that.
and the story basically stayed exactly as they were. And both directors and scene designers did a fantastic job in putting on stage something very effective and very, very respectful of the musical text. Gail Edwards for Bohème brought the staging into Berlin of the 1930s, and it's very, very effective. And as I said, it doesn't change the story at all. So musically, it was very, very easy for me to come to terms with this.
I want him to come back to Opera Australia and continue to conduct some of these extraordinary pieces that are really the core of the operatic repertoire. We're already talking about Carmen and more Toscas and so on. But in the future we have a number of other projects. And a lot of them relate to the whole notion of what it means to write music that has an important social message, an important connection to the culture of a particular place, and how that music connects with a much larger audience than what contemporary operas and contemporary music theatre pieces normally do.
Good evening, Mr. Molino. This is your call. Mr. Molino, your call.
It's a workshop. It's a social workshop. And this, to me, as a composer, as well as a conductor, is an extremely exciting perspective. And I think this is the world that we have to elaborate and we have to develop for the next generations. And this is what art is about, what culture is about.